So I usually say before being a banker, I'm a farmer first. I was born a farmer, I'm still a farmer, and I will die a farmer.
Lifestyle that you live and the career that you've built is inspiring for so many. Why is it so important for you to return and give back to the community?
When my dad passed away, fighting against poverty became my main purpose in life. With the coffee business, today we have more than 10,000 people, which I'm proud to say that they are out of poverty today. And I will make sure that we move from 10,000 to 21 million and so on and so forth.
And you've broken so many ceilings on multiple categories.
Best way to help people is not to give them fish every day. It's better to teach them how to fish. It's something that if you know how to use it, you will do amazing. You will do amazing.
Welcome to Closer with Daniel Kemdeng Djoumessi. Daniel is a vice president at JPMorganChase and the founder of Amero Coffee. He also founded a charity called AMSDM, which is a tribute to his father, which aims to uplift the rural community at Cameroon by funding infrastructure projects, offering healthcare support, and also providing scholarships for students in need. Daniel is a great friend of mine and an inspiring figure to so many here in Canary Wharf. And I'm so grateful to have him here on the podcast. Daniel, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm very happy to be here today.
It's my honor and it's my pleasure. Daniel, for so many that are watching that, don't necessarily know your story of how you came from Cameroon to then France to then the UK. How was it all? How did you, how was your journey?
Yes, as you said, I was born and raised in Cameroon, in rural Cameroon, in a small village called Jindun in the west part of the country. A village of farmers. So my life was really, as a child, navigating between the local primary school and the farm to support my family and community. And I was lucky enough to be part of a community where, even though we didn't have much, we really believe in education. We believe in coming together and work as a community, deliver as a community. So my family was very active. My dad was very active within the community, encouraging everyone in the community to send their children to school. So that's how, with that, they used to come together, like put their small resources together every few years and then support one of the children within the community who has the right leadership mindset, which they believe he has the right leadership mindset and will be able to come back and take care of the community later. So that's how in 2001 I benefit from this initiative, this support from family and community, and I get a sponsor visa to go and study in France. Wow. And when I get to France, yes, wasn't I would say an easy journey. The first few years, for example, I was studying at the university and working at the same time. So my life was navigating between studying during the day, working at night. During all the school holidays, I would be working to make sure that I save a bit of money to take care of myself. So that's how I managed to, I would say, survive for the first 2 years. Then after, I was accepted in engineering school. I don't know how I did, but I managed to convince a bank to give me a loan to give me a student loan. So that's how I went to this engineering school, and then I end up with a master's degree in mechanical engineering.
Wow.
when I finished engineering school, mechanical engineering, I started working in different industry like aerospace industry. I was doing design on aircraft structure, things like that. But looking back, because everything I do, I always look at the connection with my community. How can I leverage that and bring it back and make sure that the community can benefit from whatever I'm doing? Yes, mechanical engineering was very exciting, very stimulating, but I didn't see how I could leverage that and support my community. I started looking around. What else can I do? And I usually listen to the market a lot. Then by looking around, I figured out that in the financial industry, they were looking for engineers with additional degrees in finance. So that's how I decided to go back and do an MBA in finance. Went back to the bank again, convinced them, say, look, if you give me another student loan, I'm sure after the MBA, I will get the job and start paying back. They were happy. They gave me the loan. I finished my MBA in finance, and then just after that, I got an internship with a French bank in Paris. So I started working. So I did 6-month internship, and then luckily, at the end of the 6 months, I got my first job. So I started working there. I worked in Paris for this bank for 6 years. And then in 2012, January 2012, my dad passed away.
I'm sorry.
I realized that my life will never be the same again because he was very active. He was doing a lot for the community, and I had to take over that legacy. And for me to be able to do that, I needed to be in an environment where I can be more, I would say, I can express myself. I can do better. I can do a lot of things. I can be successful in my career at the same time, looking for different opportunities for my community back home. Then, looking around, working in finance, what was the best place to be in Europe? Was London. I decided to move to London. It's funny because the first time I came to London was during the Olympic.
Yeah.
And at the moment, we have
Olympics in Paris.
Olympics in Paris, so it's
Full circle.
Exactly. So when I moved to London, my English wasn't that good.
I didn't know that. I wouldn't have known that at all because, when we were just speaking, it sounds like water. Yeah, so, and you moved to London when?
So I moved to London in 2012. Summer 2012.
I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So when I moved to London, the first thing I did was how to improve my English. So I went back. I went back to school, studying English. Took a few months to make sure that I boost my level in English. And then after that, I wanted to go into quantitative finance. And what I decided to do was to do another degree in quantitative finance, something called a certificate in quantitative finance. So by doing that, I was just not learning and developing my expertise in quantitative finance, but I was also improving my English. Yeah. So after that degree, so I got the first job in London for a risk management company in the city. So I worked with them for a few years, and then in 2018, I remember I was on my way back home. I got a message from someone from an HR, from a recruiter from JPMorganChase, who said, "Look, we have this role open within quantitative finance area. Will you be happy to have a chat?" I was like, "Okay, let's have a chat tomorrow morning, 8:30." So we had a call in the morning. Everything went well, and then we started the interview process. And then after some time, I got the offer, and have been working now for JPMorganChase in London for 6 years.
Yeah. And alongside your work in JPMorganChase, you're a really hardworking person. Whenever I meet you, I've learned so much. But also, you're the founder of Amero Coffee. And when I first met you a couple of times, you told me, "I'm a banker and I'm a farmer. I'm a coffee farmer," and I just find that so cool. Could you share a little bit more about the vision of Amero Coffee?
Yes. So I usually say it, before being a banker, I'm a farmer first. I was born a farmer. I'm still a farmer, and I will die a farmer. So, as I said before, my community and family did a lot for me. So whatever I am today is because of them. And taking over my father's legacy was very important for me to continue supporting the community and make sure that we bring it to another level. When my father passed away, I was supporting my community on my personal income. So every year I will be supporting the local school, the local hospital, providing scholarship to the best student in the community, and make sure that I give them the right tool that they need to be able to excel. After a few years, so I remember what my dad told me before. He said, the best way to help people is not to give them fish every day. It's better to teach them how to fish. So that's how I was looking at the different option. And then I remember, well, one of the best thing that we do, and one of the best thing that I know, is coffee farming. I say, okay, let me go back and then see how I can work with the community and develop that and make sure it become a business. So I went back to the farm, started myself, because one of the best way to lead is to lead by example. You can't just come and give people instruction on what to do. You have to, they need to, it's important for them to see you doing. So I went back to the farm and start renewing the coffee trees that we had in our farm, because what we had there was like 30, 40 years old.
Yeah.
The production wasn't great anymore, so I destroyed everything. And then working with a local research agency, we came out with a new type of coffee trees, the new variety of coffee trees that are more resistant to local diseases, with better yields, and also keeping in mind, I would say, everything around sustainability was very important for me, to make sure that whatever we do is organic.
That's great. Yeah.
So that's how I started regenerating my own farm, and at the same time leveraging all the communities. For those who wanted to work in my farm, they were welcome to work there, and I make sure that they have a very good and sustainable salary for themselves. And for those who wanted to go back with me in farming, I support them with all the tools that they need in terms of training, in terms of new coffee trees. I have a team of engineers training them, teaching them how to do farming today, taking into account all the different constraint that we have. Then, while I was doing that on the ground, I was also working around here, working in London, and trying to see what are the, I would say, the best people we can work together and make sure that we create a bridge between the farm and the customer to deliver the great quality product. So I started speaking with Canary Wharf Group. They loved the project, and then we decided to work together. They were on board. We decided to work together, and then for more than 2 years now, Amero have been supplying all the residential building in Canary Wharf with our great coffee.
Which, by the way, is one of the best coffees that I've tried. Before I tried Amero, and I told this to Daniel several times, I was not a coffee drinker. I am like the furthest away that you could imagine a coffee drinker would be. Like I hate coffee. And then I went to a tiramisu masterclass as well, and then I think Daniel sort of presented his coffee, which was used in the tiramisu process, and I started drinking, like the mildest coffee possible, like more milk than coffee, right? And then eventually now I could drink Americano, like, a couple of times a day or something. And it's because like his coffee is also very gentle, and you could feel the quality is very, it doesn't make me react in any way because it's organic. So you could really feel the quality. So, yeah, I highly recommend if you haven't tried Amero Coffee, give it a try. But, yeah, I think coming back, Daniel,
Just one comment on that.
Yeah.
I would say you hate coffee until you try the best coffee.
Yeah.
And when you try the best coffee, you adopt it and you love it forever.
Yeah. I have to agree. I'm a living testimony. And, I think that's such a quote. If I just want to ask you a more personal question here. Your life here in the UK, it's amazing, right? The lifestyle that you live and the career that you've built is inspiring for so many. It's what people probably aim to achieve for some, for many perhaps. But I notice whenever I speak with you and I catched up with you, your heart and your vision always reaches out back to Cameroon. You think about your community all the time. You return to Cameroon quite a lot of times, actually. Last time I catched up with you, you said you just traveled back to look into how it's like over there. Why is it so important for you to return and give back to the community?
Well, to be honest, I get all my fuel and energy from there, from the community. Whatever I'm today is the result of the hard work and vision for my community. So I cannot be okay if I don't go back. It's important for me to spend a lot of time there on the ground, spend time with the younger generation, and then help them dream and explain to them that I was there 30, 40 years ago. Today I can travel around the world and then do whatever I want to do. Why? Because of a vision, because it's usually in those environments you don't even dream because you think everything for you is impossible. So when I come back and spend time with them, they can see my achievement, and I tell them, look, today you have more opportunity than me, and I make sure that that's why I'm here, to make sure that you have all the tools that you need to excel. And I hope that in the future we will have a lot more people from the community who will do a lot better than me. That's my aim. When my dad passed away, fighting against poverty became my main purpose in life. So that's why everywhere I go around the world, I always do my best to fight against poverty. So I started with my community because it's where I come from, is what I know the best. But even in the UK, I work with different charity, with my company, with my bank. We do a lot of things together. with the charity that they support. In France, I do the same. Everywhere I go, when there is an opportunity for me to support and fight against poverty, I will do it. Coming back to why that connection with the community, well, because it's important to know where you come from. And when you know where you come from and you get that, you get a lot of energy from that. You give back. By giving back, you get a lot of energy, and you continue working very hard to achieve a lot. So with the coffee with the coffee business today, we have more than 10,000 people, which I'm proud to say that they are out of poverty today. And I will make sure that we move from 10,000 to 21 million and so on and so forth. And we should be able to do that everywhere in Africa and everywhere around the world.
I can genuinely see from my day-to-day interactions with Daniel and the community here in Canary Wharf, it's so evident that you're a man that recognizes your privileges but always aims to uplift others as you go. You know, you really do inspire so many people. And your father, as you mentioned, fought against poverty in rural Cameroon, and now you're doing great things here in the UK. You're also a founder of a charity called AMSDM, and you're also, founder of the Amero Coffee. What's your advice for people who are trying to break out of a poverty cycle and really, try and achieve their dreams there?
The first thing I would say is to dream, because it's important to dream. Usually when we are in some environment, we don't even dream because we think nothing is possible for us. The first thing is to believe in yourself. You have to dream and believe in yourself. And it's important to work very hard, because yes, dreaming is good, but then you need some action. And part of the action is to work very hard, network a lot, because so I usually say it. So luck is when preparation meet opportunity. So if you meet a great opportunity tomorrow and you are not ready to take it, you will miss it, unfortunately. So it's very important to keep working very hard on a daily basis. Keep reaching out to people, network, try to improve your network as much as you can. By working hard and talking to the right people, where one day you will meet somebody who will bring you one thing that is missing for you to then excel. Okay? So it's very important to keep that in mind. And it's very important to be very organized in the way you do things. Okay, very organized. Your life needs to be very structured. You need to set up some daily routine. For example, I wake up every day on 5 o'clock every day. I go to the gym or running outside 4 to 5 times per week. So it's important to keep all those things in mind and make sure that you make sure that you're physically good and then mentally good, because life is tough and you have to be able to manage all that. You have to be able to overcome all that, because there's nothing you can do that will be easy. So it's important to work very hard, and not just work hard, also work very smart, because the combination of working hard and working smart is very important. Because if you work too hard and you don't have the right strategy, you could miss the point. But if you combine working hard and working smart, you will end up with something great.
This is why I am so excited about today's episode. I think with Daniel, he really does live the experience, and he really shares these advice because he's lived through it. and he applies it daily. So it's not, advices that you sort of read from books. He lived and breathed these principles in his life, so it comes out so naturally when he speaks out to other people. So thank you so much, Daniel, for sharing that. And returning back to what you said about the coffee farm where you scaled it up under your leadership to employ more than 10,000 farmers now. It's grown massively, and from our conversations before the podcast, etc., I could see how much you transformed that land. It's already great, but you really brought it up to a new level. And I just want to return back to the sustainability point that you mentioned. How did you sort of bring about innovation with sustainability in that farm?
To be honest, I'm lucky that I live in a different world today where we are very um, uh, 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 where we're very sensitive around climate change and so on. And I learned a lot from that, and then I make sure that I replicate the same back home. And if we want to sustain, if we want our farmers to sustain and transfer that to the future generation, we need to make sure that we keep our land safe. We need to make sure that we keep producing good quality product. So that's why when I started from day one, I make sure that we go full organic. So everything we do is organic from the start. So, and we make sure that the entire production chain from the farm to your cup is organic and sustainable. And it's important to educate people. So when I go back and spend time with the farmers, some at the beginning they didn't understand. They were like, "Oh, we're already struggling with the yield. So now if we can use fertilizer, how will?" That's part of, I would say, change management. When you have to change something, is always very difficult. So it's important to take the time, explain to people, explain the current situation, come up with different solution, and then explain to them where we're going. So this is where we are today, and this is where we will be in the future if we apply these specific techniques. And when you explain that and you start applying it on the ground, people will see the result, and then they will start following. And that's how you then empower the entire group, the entire community, and then progressively you spread around, and you make sure that this learning is transferred, and as a group we move all together and make sure we keep our land and our world safe.
That's really good, because you really touched on how change is great, but for some people change might seem scary, unfamiliar, especially if, for instance, they couldn't see the end result yet and it seems so far away. And I think feel free to add in more if you want to further elaborate on this. But how did you sort of brought the community together during this big transformational change is so inspiring. And I think this is not only just applicable for coffee farms, but it's also for any entrepreneurs listening. You're bringing a whole staff in a process of big transformational change. So that's very inspiring, Daniel. Yeah.
Thank you. People usually prefer the devil that they know. You see.
Yeah.
They're used to something. They might not like it, but they're used to it, so they don't want to change. So as soon as you come and say, "Oh, let's change this," they don't like it. They are not happy at all.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to communicate very well. So communication is very well. So it's is very important, so you can explain to people what you're doing, why, and how it will look like in the future. So they can project themselves and try visualizing how things looks like in the future. And when they visualize, and if they feel like will be better than what we have today, yes, you will definitely have them on board. And also, as I said before, you have to lead by example. So that's why when I started, the first thing for me was to start in my own farm, so they can also see what I'm doing. So that's the one of the best way to do things. Lead by example.
Yeah. And now returning back to your work here in the UK, you're, very passionate about DEI initiatives as well. What's your advice for, people listening who come from a DEI background, and are looks up to you and would like to succeed in the corporate world? What's your tips and advice from your experience?
Yes, as you said, I'm very passionate about DEI, not just because of my background, but not just because of that, because I believe diversity is something great, and everyone should leverage that. Diversity, we're all different, okay, and we come with different way of doing things, different culture, different. For me, diversity is a wealth. Is something that if you know how to use it, you will do amazing. You will do amazing things, because when you bring people together who are completely different, even just the way they think is different. And if you're designing a product, for example, having people sitting on the table brainstorming on that with different way of thinking, that's what we call cognitive diversity, is very important. And yes, I know when you come from a minority background, it's very difficult to navigate through some environment, including the corporate environment. But I think a lot of companies today are doing a lot to support and make sure that everyone is welcome and give them the right tool to be able to excel. So the first advice I would say: don't stay on your corner. Go and look for what you want to do, and talk to the right people. You'll be surprised to see the amount of support that you get when you talk to people. So talk to people, they will give you the right support, and continue networking. So and the more you try things, the more you will learn, the more you will become resilient, and the more you will do better. Because we live in a world that is very important to be resilient, and resilient come with suffering. So it's sad to say that, but the more you suffer, the more you can survive in this world today. So yes, back to diversity. I believe in equality, and I'm sure the world will be more and more equal. So if you're coming from a minority background, if you're coming from an underprivileged background, yes, you have to fight. The more you fight, the more you move forward, the more you will have opportunities to show that you can do the same as everyone. You can do sometimes even more than some people, and you will have the opportunity to show what you can do, and people will love it. And the more they love it, the more they will reach out to you to give you more.
Yeah. I loved what you said there. I think it is a hard truth for a lot of people to hear, but that's so true. I think I like to imagine it as, for instance, if you go to the gym and you lift weights and it's your first time, and the metal is going to feel painful because you haven't lifted weights at all. But then over time your hand will build calluses, and you're not going to feel it as much because you got stronger. And I think that's what you said as well. The more you go through things in life, the more say your tolerance sort of increased. You don't feel as much. You just have more resilience. So I loved how you sort of depicted it there, and I completely agree. And alongside that, actually, you're a big advocate of mental health and overcoming stuttering. So could you please share a little bit about your perspective, your experience, and your views about mental health and stuttering?
Mental health do not discriminate. So
Yeah.
whoever you are, whatever your status is in the society, in the corporate environment, at some point you will suffer from mental health. And it's important to know that you are not alone. There's a lot of support around today to help and make sure that you do the right thing to be okay. Mental health, you need to check your mental health, like you check your physical strength on a daily basis. You need to work on your mental health as you do when you go to the gym. I go to the gym 4 to 5 times per week to make sure that I'm physically strong, and that also have an impact on my mental health. So every day when I wake up, I will check my mental health. I'll be like, how's Daniel feeling today?
I love that.
Yeah, so one of the routine that I have is something simple like making my bed in the morning. So if I wake up one day and I feel like I can't make my bed today, yet that means there's something wrong. Then you need to take the time, have a think, try to understand what's going on, identify the problem, and then you look at the solution. Sometimes for me, it's just go out and run 10 kilometers, and then after I will feel great. But if I don't do that, and because I'm not okay, just stay in bed, and that will just get worse, and you could end up in a very difficult situation. My personal experience with mental health was related to stammering. You might not feel it today, but I suffer from stammering since I was a child. It took me more than 30 years to overcome that. Learning different techniques, and you can imagine we live in a world where it's very important to communicate and communicate very well. So if you cannot communicate with others what you have in mind, it's very difficult, it's very frustrating, and the impact on your mental health could be devastating. For those who watch this film called The King's Speech, I watch it like many times.
It's great.
Yeah, you will learn. So I think this is the story of King George V. Yeah, who used to stammer, and by watching the film, you can see the impact of stammering on his life. You can see somebody like him suffering like that on a day-to-day basis. Every time he have to speak and so on, the impact on the mental health is so bad, and it's something that we can overcome. I'm a perfect example. So today I can speak in town hall with hundreds of people. I will be okay. I'm okay, and I will be okay. So when you suffer from something, the first thing is to acknowledge that thing. And then when you acknowledge, you then start looking for solution. It'll be difficult to get the right solution straight away, but at some point you will you will end up with the right solution. We have around the world today, I think it's more than 70 million people who suffer from stammering, but they don't talk about it.
Yeah.
A lot of them suffer in silence, and even in the corporate world, there's a lot of people who suffer from this condition, and so it's important to talk about it. Look for a solution, because there are many solutions and techniques that you can apply, and and make sure that you do things right and communicate the right way.
Yeah, really like the points that you shared there. I think one simple takeaway is also, if you know what you mentioned about having daily routines that you could gauge to see how you are mentally, is something I just learned from you today, because it's interesting. I will start adopting that in my routine, because that just shows how important it is to become your best friend as well. So like, every day we go to work and we ask people how are you, etc., but we don't really have that. It's not really natural for us to wake up and see, am I okay, how am I doing the things I usually do well today, or can I not make my bed? Can I maybe, do I not feel like having breakfast today, and everything like that. So, what you said there are simple but very effective things to look into on a day-to-day basis. So thank you so much for sharing, Daniel. And I just want to carry on about, how you're an inspirational role model for so many, and you've broken so many ceilings on multiple categories. I think, what advice would you give for people who are facing hurdles or challenges that perhaps seems impossible? Maybe it's because, in like what you said initially, maybe they're in their community, or they've never seen anyone who is able to overcome such hurdles or challenges to achieve that particular dream of theirs. What advice would you give for those who are trying to break the ceiling?
Well, the first advice is, whatever challenge you're facing, there's a solution, and the solution is possible. Don't say to yourself it's impossible. Everything is possible. You just need to do the right thing. You just need to walk the right way, look for the right option or the right journey to get to get to the solution. You will fail, and you will fail a lot. Sometime is after maybe 10 attempts that you will succeed, but it's okay. You have to be able to accept that it's okay to fail. Every time you fail, you learn, and the next time you will do it differently, and you will make mistake. And when you make a mistake, it's important to acknowledge your mistake. It's important to say sorry and apologize if you're dealing with someone and you do a mistake. You will learn from all that, and you will go back trying something differently. So that's something. So that's something very important. And the more you try, the more you learn, and the more you will do better. And that's how, at some point, you will get the right solution and you can move on.
And to just wrap up the podcast, I can't believe it's coming to an end. But what advice have you received so far that you consider is one of the best advice that you've received?
The best one is, whatever you do, make sure that you do great. You do it great. So whatever you're doing, because sometimes, like in a corporate environment, you can be asked to do something that you believe is not compared to your, I don't know, your level or the degrees you have. This is not for me. No, don't say that. take it, make sure that you deliver great result, and people will love it. You might be asked to do something that doesn't seem important for you today, but because you do it great and deliver first class, tomorrow you will be asked to do something a lot more important, and that's how you grow, and that's how people will kind of pull you when they're moving up, and you will grow all together.
Yeah. In this podcast, you also talked a lot about the emphasis of networking, right? And people out there, I think there's a survey that's conducted. I think that one of people's like number one fear or something is like public speaking for a lot of people. Oh, I didn't think you're someone who's like naturally sort of scared or anything when it comes to talking to people, because when we met, it just flows so naturally. But what's your advice for people out there who wants to network, but they're just shy, or maybe they feel, how do I do that? I've never done that before. What's your advice?
Well, to be honest, I'm a perfect example of somebody who didn't know how to network before. I was very shy and also suffering from stammering. I couldn't go and speak to others because I didn't know how people would react and so on and so forth. So the first thing to do is to try. Okay, just go to people, try, and if you go in an environment where you don't know anyone, or if you want to reach out to connect with someone that you don't know and you don't know how to connect with them, if you know somebody else who know that person, yeah, they can create the connection between you and the other person, and then after you carry on. But if you are in a van on your own and you don't know anyone there, well, just start talking to people and try to identify one thing that you have in common, because I'm sure every time you connect with someone, if you pay attention, there's always at least one thing that you have in common. And when you identify that one thing, you can use that and kind of use that and create the connection and start the conversation. And after, things will become more natural. When you talk with someone about something that you like in common, it really facilitate a lot of things. But one thing very important is just keep trying. Your first networking event might not be great. That's fine. The second one will be okay. And then the more you do it, the more you will be like, you become very natural at some point, and you will be able to navigate in any environment, talk to whoever you want.
Agreed. Well, thank you so much, Daniel, for your time and the invaluable advice you've shared. Honestly, it means so much to me and so many who are listening, that you're willing to be so generous with your knowledge, your experience, and just being, so grounded in your roots and your beliefs, while also striving for excellence every day. It's just inspiring. Thank you so much, Daniel.
Thank you, Michelle. It was a pleasure.